What's the button?
Down.
Got it.
Down.
I'm covering it first. How you guys doing? I feel like I'm among giants with some of the speakers, so thank you for letting me be here and let me talk for a little bit. Who here has failed at something? And anyone who didn't raise their hand who's like, oh, I don't believe in failure as long as you don't give up. Failure exists, so let's just call it what it is. Who here feels like they're relatively successful at something right now? Do you think that I feel like in a lot of cases, there's a decent chance that the reason you're successful at what you're successful at is because you failed at it a few times and learned some lessons. So failure, a lot of the time, is one of the things that kind of just, it gets you. You can start thinking differently about things. I have failed plenty of times, and most of the times when I failed, it's kind of made me pause and start trying to think about things differently. So in this presentation, I want you to challenge the way that you think about how you're finding leads, what you're looking for, because a lot of the time, it can be a lot more simple than we make it. We just have to understand what we're optimizing for. So, branding where it matters. Nike or Adidas? Anyone? I see a lot of Nikes in here. Yeah? Yeti or Arctic? Does anyone have a preference? Arctic. Okay, yeah. Airlines, Delta or United? Okay. Jamco or AeroCare International Ltd? Okay. I love Jamco. Who's Jamco? Well, they manufacture most of the toilets in an airplane. So which one? Do y'all have a preference? No? You don't care. So why am I talking about it? Exactly. So the point that I want us all to think through is you've used it. It has mattered to you at some point. You've had to go to the bathroom on an airplane, I'm sure. And if it was a really terrible toilet, you would have noticed, but you didn't even think about it. Because it's not been a choice. You haven't had to think, do I want to go with Delta or United? Because, Delta uses Jamco, and they're my guys. That'd be weird, right? So we need to think through why brand matters. You choose Nike. A lot of that seemed to be the consensus. Arctic seemed to have the most loud supporters here. United, I think, is what won this one. You don't choose Jamco or AeroCare International. You don't give a crap. So, Jamco or die, sorry. I want to drive home. First point is a brand that stays relevant is one that you have to actively choose. You guys like Nike because you wear it. You think, okay, what shoes am I going to wear today? Well, I'm going to wear my Air Maxes. You choose United versus Delta because, I'm a United guy because I have the card and I get the points for it. But you don't choose certain things. What kind of businesses does everyone own here? I know there's a few contractors, but who's not a contractor? Raise your hand. I want two people to tell me what they do.
Food truck.
Food truck, okay, good. Automotive, okay. If someone is not hungry, your food truck isn't very relevant to them. If someone doesn't have an automotive fixed cars, yeah. If their car's not working, it's not something that you're going to think. But there's even worse. Some of the contractors here maybe have their service used by a client one time every 15, 20 years. Maybe their job is to build that deck that's so beautiful that you never have to think about your deck again aside from just enjoying it. And when you're enjoying it, you're not thinking like, man, so thankful for that deck builder. You're more just thinking like, this is fun, you're present. So, what about something, like we're talking about brand here, what about something that you do choose, but just not on a normal basis? It's not a common thing that we have to think through. It does change things. To describe brand in a few different ways. I'm not going to define it necessarily, like we've all heard what is said when you leave the room. Like they're all a lot of good definitions, so I'm not going to try to make my own. What I do want to say is brand is kind of a conversation. Not the definition, but it's kind of a conversation. Like, what is the brand saying to me? How is this going to be part of my identity? What's my experience when I use this company? Why am I a United guy? Because, well, I like their seats more. Like, that's, in a way, a conversation. It's a demonstration, similar. It's a feeling. A lot of the time, it's a choice. But it needs to be relevant. If it's not relevant, no one's going to care. That's pretty simple truth here. No one has to stretch too much to agree with that. So Elizabeth and I, over there, best business partner ever, work with home service businesses, mostly roofers, and help them grow rapidly. And I owned an agency before. We're more consultative now. Our clients are just crushing it. It's amazing. And we do it through building processes. Sorry if that wasn't very exciting, right? Processes aren't the most fun thing. We all know we need them, but bear with me. I work with a lot of roofers, right? So, quick test. How often does the average homeowner get a new roof?
Every hailstorm.
Yeah, every hailstorm.
And it's free, right?
You must be in DFW. Who said that? About every 20 years. So how the fuck are you going to brand a roofing company? No one, who cares? No one gives a shit about a roofing company until they need a roofing company. And then when they need a roofing company, they're like annoyed that they need a roofing company usually. So you're trying to like have, if I go back real quick, you're trying to create a dialogue with them. You're trying to create a demonstration. You're trying to give them a feeling that's not the crappy feeling that they already have because their roof's messed up. You're trying to get them to choose you. They only have to think about it every 20 years, and it's not something anyone looks forward to. So can you brand a roofing company effectively? Yes? Yeah? Okay, thank you. Of course, but you have to be relevant. And that's why this presentation is called Finding Your Pocket of Relevance. Because it's a moving target. Like, there's a few people who have businesses here where it's just it's a daily choice. There's a cryo tank or float tank guy somewhere, right? I think. Oh, well, there was. That's something where the ideal client, maybe a chiropractor, I think there's a golf trainer in here. There's different things where like, those are things where, okay, on a pretty normal basis, they're gonna choose to use you and work with you. But there's a lot of service-based businesses here, and people aren't, a lot of the time, using you, it's supposed to end. It's not supposed to be some long-term thing. So you have to find the pocket of relevance. So the way we grow roofing businesses and the processes that we help them implement is really all about leveraging their pocket of relevance in a systematic, intentional, and repeatable way. One that can be delegated, one that they don't have to be in the nitty-gritty all the time. But we have to remember, like, we have to create the dialogue. We have to give them the feelings. Because your brand isn't your logo. I think if you're here, we probably know that. Is it a component of your brand? Sure. But oftentimes, really, like the feelings that they're going to have, like all the stuff that I put, the conversation that you're trying to create with them, the feeling that you give them, that's before you even come up with the logo, or you're just getting a random logo on Fiverr. Okay, but your brand is a lot more than that. So another quick test. That person, that all the way to that little point, is a one single homeowner who's getting a new roof. Who else might need a new roof? How far around them? Yeah, let's talk, exactly. Like, it's a tiny little group. It's a tiny little group. It's going to be the people in the neighborhood or in the zip code a lot of the time. If there are a couple roofers, right, or people who have been in the roofing industry, so we've all seen the hail maps. Like, it's going to be maybe 1 mile to 2 miles, and then there's really only like one, maybe 500 yard by 500 yard radius where it just like came down. And then everyone's trying to find the outskirts, then a couple people get into like that central zone, but it's not as easy as you think. So I'm not going to get too far into roofing, but the point is, we know that the people that are right next to the person who needs a new roof likely need a new roof too. Even if it's not a storm situation, say it's just a retail, that roof's 20 years old. Are homes and neighborhoods often built together? Yeah, like around the same time. Our roofs, if there was a storm and one person got their roof replaced 15 years ago, good chance that other people did, yeah. So maybe even by the same person, especially if they hired me. So the point is, we need to find that little area, and we need to think, how can we aggressively do branding type of advertising to those people? Because that type of advertising does work well. It brings the best people to you, people who actually chose you. You're not one of 5. So let's look at 2 different roofing companies. Roofing company A, roofing company B. This one, they're ballers. They got a ton of money. Maybe they got bought by private equity. Big thing happening in the home service businesses recently. They're in the same market. Total adjustable market, 500,000. They have $1 million branding budget. They're targeting the whole city. They're going to hit them with mail, YouTube ads, Facebook ads, TikTok, TV, radio, everyone. And then we have roofing company B. Same 500,000 people. Branding budget. What the fuck's a branding budget? Targeting neighbors of previous jobs. How? A little bit of mail, some boosted Facebook posts, door hangers, yard signs, reusable, organic. How am I communicating? Am I talking? Am I knocking doors? Still relevant. But let's look. Roofing company A, whole market, right? So $1 million divided by 500,000, $2 per person. Roofing company B, what's a reasonable amount per job? If we're like job costing it in, to use contractor words, would we be willing to spend in time and effort to get in front of neighbors? Say the block has 30 homes. So we're not even going to go after everyone. We're just going to try to get our next few jobs. How much could they reasonably spend per person? $2? Anyone good with $2? Yeah? $3? $4? $5? I think you can spend a lot because you know a lot about them. Why? Because you're relevant. The neighbor's getting a new roof. Even if they don't know that they might need a new roof. Has anyone had a roof replaced like on their block or seen it? It's pretty loud production. It's crazy. The delivery truck shows up. A bunch of guys come in. Music starts playing. Rip the whole roof off. Nail guns going crazy. It's loud. It's obnoxious. Neighbors don't enjoy it, honestly. But would we expect that if we are super intentional about that group of people, that we could maybe spend a little bit more than this big dog over here spending $1 million a year? because we know we can create a strategy that converts so much higher, so much higher. So our clients, on average, spend in the range of $150 to $200, depending on the situation, advertising to the 20 to 30 nearest neighbors. So that's what we kind of help them implement. We help them implement processes, to do it in a repeatable way, and to do it consistently, all that. Going with the low numbers, let's say low dollar amount, $150, high number of neighbors, so the least dollar amount per person, they're spending about $5 per person they're advertising to. More than two times than that massive budget that's untargeted and where you're not as relevant and you're just trying to be. There's a company called Anderson Windows. I don't know if y'all know who they are. Huge, huge company. And do a lot of people know them? Yes, but they spend millions and millions and millions and millions and millions with TV commercials, and they probably aren't on radio as much, but maybe some, like, they're all over, but they're advertising to a bunch of random people. People who rent, people who are 18-year-olds watching TV, like, who don't have a house and won't for a long time, especially if mortgages keep doing what they're doing. A lot of people that are completely irrelevant, and they're probably spending about a couple dollars a person, maybe even less, because they're throwing just a massive net. We're small businesses, though. Can anyone spend $1 million a year in branding right now? Me neither, sorry. So we have to be more strategic. We have to be smarter. We have to be more intentional. And if you don't own a home service business, I want you to think through this like in your business. I was about to say niche, sorry, my marketer was showing. But how are you, like, what's the moving target of people that you're actually relevant to? Because it's not everyone. It's going to be a time thing, sometimes a place thing, sometimes a feeling thing. Where is your pocket of relevance? And how can we find a way to advertise and catch them there rather than wasting time just trying to put our message to the masses? Because some people aren't going to care. I'm not saying you shouldn't do branding. I'm not saying you shouldn't do this. Podcast's a great example, though, of people finding you. No one's going to listen to your hour-long podcast unless what your podcast is about is somewhat relevant to them. It's a good example of an inbound way of like having your pocket of relevance. And it's people who are like listening to you. It's not like someone Googling and saying, oh, this is the first person that showed up. I'm going to call him, and then I'm going to call the next 3 people down the list. Guess what? So on average, our clients are getting around 3, sometimes more appointments per job. Math is crazy. If you're closing at 30% already, and we just implement the strategies we do, and you got 3 appointments per job, and do you guys think they'd close at the same rate or a higher rate as just a cold lead? Higher, but I'm not even going to count that. It would be, if you got 3 appointments per job, closed at the same 30% rate, you'd grow 90% the first month you implemented the things. That's compounding growth. 1 turns into many. Pretty cool. And that's the type of thing where you can implement these systems, or you can go spend $3,000 a month on SEO, or you can spend a $10,000 a month on ads. Like, you can do all those things, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, but people need to find where they're relevant first and completely maximize it, because that's how you're going to grow, that's how you're going to create the most quick growth, and that's also how you can oftentimes turn one into many. We want to do that. We don't want just this funnel. We've all heard of a sales funnel. If anyone's like a HubSpot fan, the flywheel, a lot better. So $50 brand-generated appointments for a 10,000 to 50,000 projects. Not bad. And this is the type of thing that we need to think about, because we know we can spend more per person comfortably if we're advertising to the right people. And it doesn't have to be a 100,000 person audience or a 500,000 person audience. It can be a 30 person audience. As long as you can do it over and over again. in a leveraged way. We don't want to just give ourselves a job. But it's because we're in the pocket of relevance. It's the right time, it's the right people. Most of us here, we don't have products. Does anyone have a product that is their main thing? Yeah, Tati over there. But most of us are service providers. If we're B2C, so if you are a contractor working with homeowners, the service is only relevant when they think they might need or want your service. Even the food truck, though that can be a little more of an ongoing thing. Our job is to be able to identify the moving target of where the people that are within our market that might need or want our services, and know how to create a dialogue with them through a strong brand. Because let's face it, leads can really suck. Has anyone spent a lot of money on Facebook ads, gotten some random names, some that don't really seem like a real name? You call them up. Difficult conversation, if any conversation. Has anyone spent a lot of money on Google ads? And you know these people searched for your service. And then you find out that they just want the price right on the phone because you don't matter to them. They just want the service. There's a huge, huge difference between a lead and a brand-generated lead. Has anyone ever been on an appointment? And just recent, 2 times in the last month, someone has said they went to an estimate and the person said they were getting 6 different estimates. It's freaking wild. And they didn't even want them to present the proposal. They just were, send it to me in an email. I'll look. If I won't need it, I won't have any questions. I just need. That's commodity. That's because their brand didn't matter at all to these people. They just wanted to get the service done for the cheapest price. Why? In this case, is roofers. Because they're like, I'm dealing with this freaking roof. It's leaking. I don't want to be dealing with this roof. I don't want to spend an arm and a leg. I'm going to have to spend more money than I want to spend. So I'm going to find the cheapest person. You can't really blame them unless they fully understood how to even make the decision. But what is brand? It can be a conversation, a demonstration, a dialogue, a feeling. That's one of the ways we can educate people on a product that they don't give a crap about, is helping them understand, okay, well, I see how they treated my neighbor. I see how they were thoughtful to the fact that this roofing job was frustrating and loud and obnoxious, even though I wasn't even their client, but they still were thoughtful. They still took care of me, and I wasn't even the client. Okay, that's a demonstration, customer service. They feel like it's going to be easier, smoother. Has anyone had a sale that sucked? Has anyone closed someone that was not a fun customer? In hindsight, you're like, damn, I shouldn't have closed that person. Me too. And a lot of the time, if you're a contractor and you've closed the wrong person, I'm sorry, because that is worse. You're coming to their home, they're treating you like crap. You're like, okay. It's a difficult situation. They probably are stiffing you. So some sales can suck too. But what doesn't suck is quality conversations with people who want to do business with you. They have the understanding they need a service, but they're not just looking for anyone to do the service. You're one of one. You're the person that they chose. Okay, I want to talk to Brian about my roof. I want to talk to Sam about my roof. Not, I'm going to look on Google, see this person has a lot of reviews. You should get reviews. But they're making these completely half-assed attempts to even figure out how to judge you, and then they're making a call. Half the time, they know they're price motivated before you even get there. So you have to undo what they think they know in order to justify what you're doing or why you're better or why they should go with you. why they should pay the deductible if we're roofers instead of just get it for free. So quality conversations with people who actually want to do business with you doesn't usually suck. So remember this, first point, brands that stays relevant is one that you actively choose on a somewhat normal basis. But it doesn't have to be, you don't have to stay relevant, honestly. We just have to be relevant when it counts, when it matters. And we have to be able to find and identify when it matters. We need to be there. And I promise you, it's actually a lot cheaper to be there and advertise to those 20 people than it is to the 500,000 people. And when you advertise to those little groups of people, one by one by one, you're going to convert at a higher rate. You're going to convert with the best leads. People are going to be Brad's roofing people rather than just because they're like, okay, that's my guy. That's what you want to do. You want to be that for them. There are strategies to make sure you stay relevant on a referral basis, all that. We'll get it. It's another presentation, but you just need to be relevant when it counts. And you don't want people to choose you as one of many options. You want them to choose you because the conversation that your brand had with them, the demonstration that you were able to provide, that your brand gave them, the feelings that they had. And they're like, oh man, they cared about the fact that they had 5 different cars on my lot that are not usually there, and they realized that could be a little inconvenient. They offered to board my dog because they were doing my neighbor's roof. That's wild. Because all that equals quality conversations. Quality conversations equals the good types of sales, not the bad ones we talked about earlier. So a general rule of thumb when we're finding the pocket of relevance is birds of a feather flock together. Business owners oftentimes, example, hang out with other business owners. 24-year-olds usually hang out with other 24-year-olds. Middle-class people live next to other middle-class people. Rich people hang out with other rich people. They also live close by, are friends with each other on social media, do similar activities, hang out in similar places, etc. For our home service businesses, we found that we want to focus almost exclusively to create those compounding strategies on neighbors and referrals. Not fancy funnels, not the crazy stuff that you hear talking about, not all the noise. What we know already, we know if you're a contractor that when the neighbor flags you down, it's usually a lot better of an appointment. We know referrals are easier to deal with. So at what point did we stop optimizing for that? At what point did we think, I need to get the $10,000 website? Like, why? So it doesn't mean that is what you should focus on. Obviously, neighbors might not be in the pocket of relevance for you. That might not be how you identify it. Referrals, probably a safe bet. I think everyone should formalize a referral system, should be very organized with it, should have a process for selling people into it, not just having it. That $200 if you send me a referral, like it doesn't work. You have to have an organized way of, they have to understand it. So your homework, because I want each one of you to find your pocket of relevance. Get clear, first, on who your ideal customer is. I had one person, the only refund I've gotten in my business, we started about a year ago after I sold my agency. He saw one video, within 45 minutes of joining, and it was defining your ideal customer. He hadn't, maybe he had his onboarding call, but he was just getting started, and he was like, hey, I need a refund. I was like, okay, why? He said, I don't have time to figure out who my ideal customer is. It's like, what? Like, what do you have time to do? Last time I checked, you weren't doing any business. last time I checked, you needed sales. He's like, yeah, I don't have time to worry about this stuff. It's like, okay. Have fun. Here's the refund. So this is important. If you don't think it's important, check yourself. Don't go fail and then have to learn it. Just do it now. What are their qualities? What's their financial situation? What state do they need to be in? What do they feel? What's their age or age range, etc.? Try to think of all these things. Where are they? It's a moving target. What platforms are they on from a social media perspective? Where do they live? What's going on around them? These are all things that you need to figure out. Like, this is action items. This is not just some broad, I'm not going to give you okay, here's a step-by-step list of how to do everything that you're supposed to do, because you guys all have different businesses. But I will say, these things are important. And finally, when and where are you the most relevant to them? Get clear on this. This is how you can narrow in who you're advertising to and be able to follow the moving target with a spotlight, so you're able to get those branding quality opportunities, but still spend a fraction of a lot of the cold marketing strategies. So, I'm not going to sell you anything, but if you want me to, book a call. We can talk, go through kind of just like what we do. So if you're a contractor, roofing contractor especially, but if you're a home service contractor, feel free to book a call here. You'll talk with Elizabeth, give you the rundown. We'll ask you, kind of find out if we're a good fit, and go from there. Everyone good? Yeah. Alternatively, connect with me. You can book a call on this. There's going to be a link on the next page, but also it's right there. You can book a call. I just downloaded this thing called RepCard. Does anyone know what RepCard is? Pretty cool. I'd love a review or something. Just if you got value from this, that'd be good. I'm trying to get those bumped up. And book a call, friend me on Facebook, whatever. I'm posting about a lot of this stuff, and I'm always happy to help. It's something that I get joy out of. So if you would like to connect in any way, friend me on Facebook. You can go ahead and scan that, but that is all I have. I appreciate you guys and hope you continue to get value from all the amazing speakers today.
Appreciate you. We're going to take like a 10-minute